Okay, now on to magazines and magazine type. As you can see here, I have a selection of mags, various types, various colours, some various sizes. Now, depending on what kind of gun you buy, that's the kind of magazines you get, be it AKs, M4s, which fit in a variety of guns, P-mags for the M4s, again, MP5 magazines, pistol magazines, all that sort of stuff. They tend to come in certain flavours again. There's low cap, medium cap, high cap. Low caps are low capacity magazines. That might be what you buy when you get the gun, the original gun. If it's certain types anyway, you may have a very small magazine that only holds 20 rounds, 30 rounds. What the real gun would hold basically. You almost never see those anywhere, except when you buy the gun. On airsoft fields, what you will see is mid caps and high caps. Now, what's the difference there? This is a high cap, this is a high cap. MP5, M4, this is a high cap AK-47. Okay? Now, the difference between this and this low capacity, well, mid capacity magazine is capacity, shock horror. High caps can hold, depending on the size of the magazine, anywhere from 200 rounds, say for the MP5s, up to 500 odd rounds for an AK-47 mag. This will hold about 350 rounds. And all it is a reservoir. You pour in lots of BBs until it's filled up, close the reservoir, and then you turn a wheel on the bottom, which forces the BBs up into a tube and puts them in a spring, and that's you're ready to fire. This would now fire 30 or 40 rounds before running out, and all I have to do then is wind the spring again. Wind the spring, another 30 or 40 rounds, wind. So you'll see people running around, hosing everywhere, wind, 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 hose, 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 wind, wind, wind. So any airsoft gun is capable of being a support gun, really. Just depends on the type of magazines you buy. So that's a high cap magazine. To say this is a high cap MP5, same again. Reservoir, pour in the BBs, turn the wheel on the bottom. BBs are forced up into the tube and sprung, and you'll fire 20 or 30 rounds before you have to wind again. AK, exactly the same. There is a new type out called flash mags, and what you do is there's a clip on the bottom, you undo the clip and there's a ring with a string basically, and you wind it up almost like starting a lawnmower. 3 or 4 winds, and that's that high capacity magazine fully wound, and it will go until it's empty. It's a nice new innovation if you use high caps. It means you just wind them at the start of the game and then there's no more winding. You're not running around, running out, am I firing? No BBs coming out, twiddle the knob, etc, etc. So that's high caps. I tend to use mid caps mainly. This is an example of a mid cap. What mid caps are basically is just one U-shaped spring, and when you load it you'll get maybe 80 rounds in here, to 120 rounds maybe for a mid cap AK or whatever, depending on the size of the magazine. You'll get between 60 and 100 rounds. Because it's sprung, there's no winding, and it also means you will run out of ammo a lot sooner, and you will be forced to change your magazines. So you will be able to play for a few seconds while you do your mag pool quick changes and things like that. It forces you to think more about using ammo, not just hosing the place. You tend to find more experienced airsofters use this kind of stuff, and it will be specified if you go to a mil sim. If you play military simulation stuff, they almost always specify you can only use low cap or mid cap magazines, so that you can't just hose the place with high caps. And they will specify the number of rounds you can carry per game. It's usually something like 600 rounds, which is 6 or 7 mid caps, and no more. The only people allowed to use more than that would be people who really are using support rifles, M60, M249s, saws, things like that, to make it more like a military simulation. And I like playing with the mid caps. They also have another advantage. We see here, this, we'll take this one. This is a high cap loaded up. This is a mid cap loaded up. You see the difference? Because it's just a spring, there's no reservoir of stuff, no maracas. People won't hear you coming quite so easily. So that's another advantage of the mid cap. Now, loading them. In the old days, you used to get a tube that was almost like a musket thing. You pull this 3-foot long tube with BBs, and there was a big plunger rod. You put it in and you did the plunger thing. Outrageous. That died out quite quickly because they were hellish. What you ended up with was pistol reloaders that looked like pistol mags. You get a reloader that looked like this, or like the one I use. This is a reloader shaped like an M4 mag, so it fits in any pouch. And this holds around about 400 or 500 rounds that I can then plunge into any of these, like so. Put it over. Chug, chug, chug. And there we go, it's now loaded. No noise. This reloader will hold enough to reload 5 or 6 mid-caps, which is great for me because I go out with 6 magazines, the reloader in the back pocket, and I've got enough for 2 full games if I empty all my ammo. So that's great. So I would recommend this type of reloader. You get them, the common type is like a small pistol round one, that'll hold maybe 200 BBs, and you'll get ones shaped like grenades and all sorts. So you need a reloader of some kind if you're going to be buying magazines. High caps, you don't need a reloader, you just need a big jug of ball bearings. Again, that rattles about when you run around, so the fashion these days is to use a bag with a tube on the top, almost like an old musket pouch for loading gunpowder. Seems a step backwards, but it does work because it's in a cloth bag with just a tube on the end. It's a lot quieter to carry about and it'll fit in any pocket. But for myself, I like using the pistol reloader, just the M4 magazine reloader, and that lets me reload and run around all day. So that's your magazine types: low cap, medium, high cap. Okay, we're on to battery types now. Batteries, since most AEGs that you'll buy, Airsoft electric guns, need batteries, I thought we'd better do a bit on that. There tend to be 2 types of battery in use these days with a couple of types of connector. So here's a selection of both. And you'll see the batteries can also come in different shapes and sizes depending on what it's got to fit. This kind of thing would be from AKs and MP5s. These will be in the front handguards of things. This could be in a stock tube on a sliding stock M4, or I can use this for my MP5s and things like that as well. So you'll get various types. You'll get ones like nunchucks shaped to go in crane stock batteries, all sorts. But they're all made up of the same elements, the same cells on these NICAD type things. You'll see it's just variations of how many cells. That gives you your voltage. All batteries come with markings which will tell you the voltage and the amp hours, the current per hour kind of thing. Easiest way to take that is the voltage is how fast your gun will fire, the amp hours is how long the gun will fire. So a 7.4 volt 1600 milliamp will shoot reasonably okay for a while, say half a day if you were using it a lot, whereas an 11.1 volt 3000 milliamp hour would last twice as long and shoot twice as fast. Okay, so that's the basics. The higher the voltage, the faster the gun will shoot, the quicker you will wear out the parts of the gun, obviously. The higher the milliamp hours, the longer the battery will last before you need to recharge it, and the longer it will take to recharge as well, obviously. So, batteries, battery types. We have 2 types: nickel cadmium, NICADs, and the likes of older battery technologies you used to find in all the rechargeable cars and toys and things. That's them. And what we have here is the new battery technologies, lithium polymer. Now you'll see horror stories of people using lithium polymers, and you'll see ones with people setting them off by hitting them with nails and crushing them and doing all sorts of things, and they go on fire. It's quite impressive. They go up like a magnesium flare. They puff up and smoke and flames and everything. Yes, that can happen if you do something really, really stupid, but it has to be something really, really stupid. You don't normally go around hammering nails through your batteries and things like that. I've never had a problem with them. So before you go mental and think, oh, I'm never buying lithium polymer, they're dangerous. Lithium polymer iPad, phones are lithium polymer, laptops are lithium polymer. Almost everything you buy now is lithium polymer batteries because they last so much longer, they charge so much quicker, they don't have the memory problems that these things have. So lithium polymer is the way ahead. For example, this is a, what is it? This is an 1100 milliamp hour 9 volt battery. 9.6 or something, I can't remember. This lithium polymer is smaller, fires faster, charges in a quarter of the time, and lasts way longer. So that's why we're going lithium polymer now. This might take 6-7 hours to charge. This takes an hour and a bit. It has no memory issue. With this will develop a memory if you don't completely discharge it every time and recharge it from flat. This doesn't develop a memory and is faster, quicker to charge, lasts longer, smaller, blah blah blah. So you can see why we're going that way. The issue with lithium polymers is that you cannot completely discharge them. You should never let these go flat. You should never let them go dangerously low, because then they are completely useless. They must retain some charge. So what you'll find is you'll get little alarm systems that plug into the charging unit, just little LCDs that'll make a tone when it reaches too low a level. So never fire these until they're completely flat, and they will last you for ages. They're brilliant. The chargers for them are slightly more complex. You need a proper lithium polymer charger. It's a balanced charger. It goes in through this charging unit here. You'll notice these don't have that. These just have the actual connector. With these, you plug in and off it goes, and it will charge automatically. It may take an hour or two depending on the size of the battery, but this controls the charging. You don't have to do a thing. You plug it in, when the light goes green, happy days, your lithium polymer is charged safely. If you're using older stuff like the NiCads and using Tamiya connectors, you'll have a charger like this, where basically you have to work out how long it takes by some maths. Bigger ones take longer, but you're looking average of 6-8 hours to charge a battery, where a lithium polymer will be done in 1 or 2. So Tamiya connectors. These are the Tamiya connectors as used in remote control cars and stuff, remote control planes in the old days. It's an okay connector, dead easy to use. Comes in 2 sizes. You get the small and the large, so you have to watch which one you get, what's on your rifle. Buy a battery to suit. Now you can also buy lithium polymers with the Tamiya connector, but what I've done is I've got these Dean's connectors, as they're known. Dean's connectors is a slightly newer type of connector, and they are heavily used by the RC community. Your people flying remote control planes and such like use these connectors. They give a much stronger connection. They don't break so easily. Because it's got a better path, you actually find you would get 2 or 3 rounds per second faster out your gun if you use these connectors. The only pain in the ass is separating them or putting them together because they're quite tight, but it does improve the performance of the gun. So again, you'll see experienced airsofters moving to lithium polymer and Dean's connectors.